Legacy is the decisions I'm making today that impact how I'm remembered tomorrow. It's easy for us to think about legacy as this far off, distant thing. But to me, it's who I choose to be today. Like I get to choose the legacy I want to leave behind, like today. Every day is a brand new choice.
Let's impact some men today. I think we're gonna do a great job. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Modern Man, where we are on a mission to connect men in pursuit of their potential. I encourage you to join us as we embrace discomfort, cultivate community, and put wind in each other's sails. Now, before we jump into the episode, I first want to remind you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share this podcast with somebody that you know can get value from it as well. Also, don't forget to check out the Noble Knights Men's Group. It's a community where you can find the support, accountability, and the mentorship you need to achieve your goals. I encourage you to join us and be part of a community of like-minded men on a mission to improve themselves and elevate their capacity for life. Now, I'm excited because we're getting some wind in our sails today by a leadership and life coach, husband, and father of four, co-founder of I Must Stand, leading personal and professional transformation through multi-day events like the Wake Weekend. You'll hear more about that. It's a 3-day immersive experience aimed at rooted, integrity-focused growth. He also is an executive leader in nonprofit and tech spaces with a background in driving cultural shifts and operational excellence. It's a pleasure to have Travis Altman on the podcast joining me today. Travis, man, it's been a little while since we last got to hang out. It's great to see you.
Man, you look great on the other side of this camera as well. I wish I was in person to see your beautiful face, but if I have to settle for this, I will. But man, it is great to be with you. Thanks for having me. Man, you're such a pro. Like you read so smoothly. Like you make me sound so much cooler than I am. I'm just gonna hire you as a hype man to follow me around wherever I'm at. Ted's my guy.
Man, listen. Listen, you did the work. I just read it, but what I always say is, we have the accomplishments, the accolades, the titles, but that can only say so much, right? It doesn't really give a window into the soul and the heart of a person. So that's why even after the intro, I love to step out of the way and let the guest speak in their own words who they are, what is important to them. And I always preface it with a question is, if you were to walk into a room of people who never met you before, they don't know you, they don't know what you do, how do you introduce yourself?
Yeah, it's a great question. So my name is Travis Altman. I am the co-founder of I Must Stand, and essentially at I Must Stand, we help high-performing men achieve success without losing their families, right? Because you could either live a life of regret or a life that builds legacy, and it's the ultimate choice that we present to all the men that we work with. And it's not really a choice that like we have to present to them. That's a new thing that they think about. I think it's at the core of every man as they're building the life that they're building. I think internally there's always this tension, and we'll talk about tension, but there's always this call. It feels like we can be pulled in so many different directions. And the drive to succeed, the drive to fulfill dreams and visions and goals and to provide and all these things that are pushing us, and the scarcity and urgency that we can feel as men can oftentimes come at odds, or at least feel like they come at odds with the goals that we would have in our faith, our family, or even our bodies, right? So we take a holistic approach to working with men, and we define success really as legacy. So, financial success without family means nothing. Financial success without your faith means nothing. Financial success at the cost of your body really doesn't mean much. Like these are things that we're holistically approaching and pushing forward. And I'm on my own journey and trying to figure out what that looks like. You're on your own journey of trying to figure out what that looks like. And so, my call to other people is just an invite, man. Like wherever you're at, be on the journey, get in the game.
Yeah, yeah. It's not about what chapter you're on, what level you're at. It's the fact of the matter is you're still reading and you're still running that race. All right, we're still going to the next step. And I said it earlier, our better years are ahead of us. And I'm sure a lot of guys can they could hear just you allude to tension, and I imagine it automatically piques some of their interest because it's something too many of us are familiar with, and it's evident in the viral social media posts that we see. You see the picture of what is it, The Hangover, and Zach Galifianakis is doing the whole card counting and everything, but they use the math and whatnot to really depict the fact of a man's mind, saying, my brain wants to provide for the family, my heart wants to spend time with the family, and my body wants to rest. Um, but as men, we try and navigate all of that, or even the picture of the torn body on one side holding the brain and the other side holding the heart. We feel at odds, as you mentioned, with the either demands that we put upon ourselves or with the standards in which we hope to show up in each arena. So I'd love for you to highlight and zoom in a little bit on that tension, what it is and what men might be not able to put their thumb on quite yet because they hear tension, it piques their interest. I'd love for you to explain it more.
Yeah. So when I'm talking about tension, I want to give a working definition for all of us to use, right? So we're all on the same page. So tension to me is, and what we use in the coaching space is it's the space between where I am and where I want to be. So it's a mirror. It's what I have to navigate to get on the other side of who I want to become, right? So some tangible examples of that. Um, in order for me to be the guy who has 4 kids and is able to love my family well and also provide for them in a great way and take risk on an entrepreneurial pursuit, like I have to learn how to handle the scarcity that exists in me, right? Like the tension that I feel on that journey is that like like the current reality is I'm in it, but do I feel like I'm doing it well, right? Like if I could be clear on I like the desire would be to be present with my family when it's time to be present with my family and to, work in as much integration as possible. And when I say integration, I mean how much overlap can I have with the faith, family, body, business, the pillars that we talk about inside of our sphere. But how can we have as much integration inside of that? Like, am I living that holistic life? And when I look at where my current reality is and it says, hey, I haven't gone on a date with my spouse in X amount of time. I haven't spent time with my kids. I work through the weekend to do this. Like like there's a dissonance that exists between who I am and who I want to be. And so that tension is is the process of figuring that out. Who do I become in those moments? How do I uh not necessarily solve the problem because I mean we can get into like I don't think these are solvable problems. I think it's more so who do I become in those moments as it is like what's wanted and needed out of me to become the man who can do these things. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Is that clear?
No, 100%. And I think for anybody who's listening right now thinking the tension don't exist, I think they might be living, I don't want to be harsh.
You can
They
be
might
harsh.
be living in so they might be living in an illusion. They're kidding themselves, right? They're fooling themselves. And that's just me saying, and you and I kind of on the same on the same mindset of that, where to your point, to show up as the husband I know I can be, and to show up as the meteorologist I know I could be in the morning, and then show up as the podcast host I know I can be. There's going to be tension because those are conflicting desires, right? And it doesn't mean that in a bad way. There's congruency in how they all operate with each other that I've been able to map out. And to your point, I'm still figuring that out. However, if I'm truly trying to be wholeheartedly who I believe I can be in each arena, I believe you're going to feel tension. So I'd love for you to call out the guys who might think to themselves, I don't feel tension. I'm good. I got it crushing in all areas of life. I've never met anybody like that, but I'd love for you to speak to those guys directly if they think they got it figured out.
Yeah, I would say if you don't feel tension, I mean, there's so much purpose you're missing out on. Um, because you can absolutely like go and not feel tension. In fact, I feel like that's actually probably a thing a lot of guys feel. But when you lack tension, typically that means that there's not something that you're being called into. Like there's not something that you're moving towards. There's not a goal that's worth pursuing. And Man, I know we were joking about this before we even started. Like the times that I have been in those spots, like where I got, life kicked me in the nuts a few times and I just wanted to stay down and not get back up and jump back into the tension. Like that's when I was the most miserable that I think I ever was. Like I was choosing comfort over tension regularly. Um, and at the end of the day, it's like a self betrayal. I kept on giving up on myself, giving up on my dreams. My desires and things didn't go away. I just kept on settling. I think it's Soren Kierkegaard who says we settle on a level of despair that we can tolerate and we call it happiness. Like that's that's what people who say that they're not in tension, like that's them. That's the best way I could equate it.
Man, you said it the best because I do believe we end up settling for, some would say, the mediocre life or what. And I say some would say mediocre life because this could be the person who makes it to the C suite and they're making all the money and they put their hands up and chill, relax, and they say, okay, I'm good. But to your point, they haven't taken their wife out on a date in however many months or so long. Now that's where the tension starts to come in. And what I also often see is guys would say, "Man, I didn't see it coming," right? When the hit
Yeah.
comes, when life punches you in the face, it's because, and I got no tension. I'm resting on my laurels, and I didn't see it coming. Man, that could, and it's the punch you don't see coming that puts you on your ass. To be honest, that's the
Yeah.
knockout. That's the haymaker that gets you. Um, if you're open or willing to, if there's an example you can think of, I'd love for you to share a moment where you chose not to succumb to the victim mindset, not to succumb to the comfort of mediocrity, and chose to step into that tension, and it's worked in your favor. What was a time where you said, "Man, I'm feeling that pressure in between where I'm at and where I'm trying to go, but as long as I sit here, I got the outcome."
Yeah. Yeah, and to your point about the people who get punched in the face, um, like, they're, I would say that, like, it goes in tandem with the people who are also, like, they're not feeling tension. They're not it's also clear that they're not clear on what's at stake for them or what the possible cost is for them, right? So, for the guy who's just kinda coasting in his marriage, you're missing signs that's going on. And when your wife says, I want a divorce, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks, but it's because you were not clear on what was at stake for you. Like you were not being honest with yourself and you were missing the signs. It's not that there were an absence of signs. They were there. You just weren't in the game. You weren't present. You were choosing something over the tension that would draw your, presence in that moment. Um, from a personal standpoint, like a tension that I'm walking in. So I mentioned scarcity earlier, man. Like I'm navigating that right now. Like I and hear me. Like I'm saying, like tension is not a um like it's never like it's a lifelong pursuit. There's always something. The man I want to be is going to be at odds with who I am, like from a flesh perspective and like, just circumstance related too sometimes, but like I get to choose how I show up in that. So um an example. So like you said, I have 4 kids. So I've got a she will be 7, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and then a 3-month-old. And my wife and I just celebrated 12 years of marriage. I have a full time job. So my full time job has me on the road about 80 to 100 nights a year. So I'm traveling a decent amount with work. And then on top of that, I'm a co-founder of I Must Stand. So I'm in the bootstrap phase where we're doing a ton of stuff where, we've had 4 events. We're about to have our 5th event. And Ted, this is prophesying. Ted said he was going to be at this event. So he's going to be at this event. Uh, but so there's just a lot going on. And so what I can feel is a fear that I will not have enough time. I fear that I will not have enough resource to be able to do the things I say I want to do and that I'm committed to doing, right? I've made a commitment to run this event in July. We have, similar to you, Ted, we've got a weekly mastermind. So we've got a group of guys that meet weekly, that are jumping in, and I'm providing curriculum for that, presenting for that. We have a leadership team meeting right now for our event in July. We've got another event coming up in October. There's just so many facets to the business that are drawing my attention on top of the full-time job, on top of the kids, and on top of the marriage. So what the tension that I'm wrestling with is, how do I do these things and still make sure that the main thing is the main thing? Like, how do I love my family well? How do I provide for my family? And how do I grow my business at the same time? Well, as I have a commitment inside of those. We call them contracts. These things that I speak over myself, and it's not necessarily like a manifesting thing, like I just have to say it and it appears. It's more so just reminding myself who I am. I get to choose how I show up regardless of the circumstances. So one of my things is, I am wealthy. And I don't just mean like financially, like monetary. I'm speaking, when I say wealthy, I mean I have all the resources around me to do the things I need to do so I can be present where I am at the moment I need to be present. Scarcity tells me I don't have enough. I'm not going to have enough. Whether it is money, like money, resource, time is really the biggest thing I feel scarce for. So the tangible result of my scarcity is, when I am stressed, when I'm anxious, when I feel like I don't have enough, when I'm home, I feel the urge to be doing something more. It's like I'm here at home with my family on a Saturday because I held the boundaries, right? Like I didn't schedule anything else. But my God, like internally, I am just a wreck. My mind is so focused in on whatever I need to get done. And, or in order to avoid thinking about that, doom scrolling, right? Like, just I can be on my phone, or I'm doing whatever other thing it is. It's like just to help try to keep my mind off of what it is. In all of that, I am not present. So I might as well not even be home at that point. Um, this season, the tension I'm navigating between where I am and who I'm committed to be, the guy who's able to do and accomplish all those things that I'm out to accomplish and I'm committed to do, is not scarce. He walks in plenty. And I'm trusting that I have enough time. I'm trusting that God has given me the resources and people around me. When I'm scarce, I don't look for resource. I think that it has to look a certain way. It has to be a certain way. And I lose out on the moments around me. So that's the tension I'm navigating right now. Like, I mean, it's a real time thing. It's not here's how you can overcome scarcity in these 3 steps. It's just like, this is the reality for me. So,
Yeah.
um, I am constantly telling myself, no, I'm wealthy. I have everything I need. I can sit at home. I can have dinner with my family. I can be here on a Saturday, and I can do the things that we're going to do as a family. We can do this, communicating with my wife, communicating with my kids, all of that. If I operate from I have enough time, that means in this tension, I'm overcoming the fear, or at least embracing the fear and letting it turn to trust. Like, I can
Mhm.
trust that I'm okay. I've got everything I need.
If iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. But if you're a man and you're alone or listening to this, then who sharpens you? What's going on, guys? Ted Phaeton here, host of the Modern Man podcast, also founder of the Noble Knights Mastermind Group. And I'm just out here encouraging you to find your circle. Maybe you're on a personal growth journey and nobody around you understands the new mentality that you're possessing. That's okay. You can find an online community that will pour into you, will navigate your goals and navigate your obstacles, share their experiences, resources, and more. Join the Noble Knights Mastermind Group and try us out for free to tap into a community of men helping each other scale up and reach their goals. Check out themodernmanpodcast.com. Do you wear a fitness tracker at all, like a Whoop or Aura Ring or anything like that?
Uh, no, I don't think so. I mean, you're gonna have to help me out. I'm not a high performing athlete like yourself. So,
No.
like, I like to run. I like to work out. I got the Apple Watch that helps me like track my workouts and my calories and steps and run times and all that. But I'm not I'm not into the Whoop culture quite yet.
Yeah. I was just asking because the way you just described that and what I want guys to take home, and I always bring it back to our nervous system, our resting heart rate, and really, and probably because I'm always on the Whoop and I'm looking into what's underneath the hood. for what I've seen with the Whoop is when you're talking about that scarcity, because I have that same scarcity, time scarcity, money scarcity at some points, mainly because of the ambitious goals. Like, if I could just spend X amount on marketing every month, that'd be great. But you can't necessarily do that. Can't do the hires that you want. But then you look at, okay, let me allocate this time to do it. And that time could be very, very slim at times. My wife will tell you I'm frugal with my money and I'm frugal with my time. She'll probably tell you I'm cheap with my time, but I pay close attention to it. But when I feel the tension, when I feel the scarcity, my resting heart rate is higher, uh, which means
It's
these
a
heart
fear.
moving.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're literally it's like scarcity is just fear. Like it's a fear that if we don't embrace and we don't look at and speak honestly, um, and I mean that's part of what helps tension like work well. And it's one of the things that I say is just if you can be honest about the way you're feeling about certain things, it helps you navigate tension a little bit easier, right? So being honest about, hey, I'm afraid right now. Okay. When I'm not honest about fear, it moves me to anxiety or control, and even furthest extent is rage, right? So, like, I would imagine that there are guys on here who have, or if who are listening to this, who can associate with that, where it's like you're anxious about something at work, you come home, you're short, like you don't like there's just like a way that you're interacting, and the shortest things like cut you off or not cut you off, set you off, right? Like, in the way that you respond to your kids and to your wife is not in alignment with like who you want to be. And so, like, how do we handle that pressure? It's like, well, I have to be honest about it. Like, man, this fear, like the tension is calling something out of me, which is the whole point of tension, right? Like, it's a gift. Like, it's a gift because it's helping me develop the things that are wanted and needed for me to do the things I say I want to do.
Hmm. It's the inertia, it's the friction, the same friction that allows the race car to take off at the starting line is the friction that you need to take off towards your goals. It's the friction that you need to get past your comfort zone, feel that inertia, and because the plane takes off against the wind, not with the wind. Um, I can hear the frameworks, the reframing, and really the coaching within your verbiage. The way you approach life comes from someone who's done the work and has gone through the experiences of whether it's coaching from others or the intrusive work of sitting in silence and understanding self. I'm curious as to your journey through growth and entrepreneurship leading to co-founding I Must Stand. What was that journey like? Maybe the tension before the man who you are now to the man you were before.
Yeah. So a couple years ago, I'd hit this spot in my life where I was making more money than I'd ever made before. I was still miserable. Um, I like all of the dreams and desires that I had had, I gave up on. Is probably the best way to say it. It's like I just had this apathetic malaise going to me. And there's this quote that is most men die at 27, they just bury them at 72. And I felt that deeply, right? Like I'm having to like, and now as I look back at it, it was a tension that I didn't even realize was there. But tension can just show a dissonance that exists. Like I had become someone who I did not think I would like. My life looked different than the way I thought it was going to look when I was a kid, and I was having to like figure that out, come to grips with that, right? It's like on the surface, you're like, I've got at the time 2 kids, married, own a great house, great job, everything should be fine. And but I had gone through enough stuff to where it's like I just I pushed away all leadership desires, pushed away all vision, was just like whatever. I was in hiding. It's probably the best way to say it. So I went to a training that radically shifted the way that I approached life. It's a training that really pushes you to master yourself and master and do a deep dive into the things that you don't know are guiding you on a day-to-day basis. There's this incredible study from UC Santa Barbara. I can't remember the exact name of the study. I think it was a 10-year process where they were doing the study on the amount of data that the human mind can intake at any given point. And they said that on average, the human mind can intake about I want to say the number is like 11 million bits of information per second. Something crazy, right? But the even crazier part was this. It's of those 11 million bits of information that your brain is intaking, only 50 to 60 bits of that 11 million bits is actually being processed by your conscious mind. So the rest of it, even let's pause for just a second. Like, I mean, just think about the math on that. How it's like 0.0000000 something 1% or something crazy.
Minuscule.
So yeah, minuscule, right? So in a flow state, which I'm sure you're conscious of, like what a flow state is. It's like when you're really locked in. It's the thing that you can set your phone down and like you pick it up again. You're like, holy crap, I missed lunch and dinner. My gosh, I was locked in, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the flow state. At that point, you can process information at like 4,000 to 5,000 bits of information per second. So like that's the top end of a human's ability to process. So at your best, you are still significantly being driven by more that you don't know than what you do know. Because inside of that gap of all the information that you're taking in, your subconscious is filling in all that you're missing. It's like here's this picture that has a couple little things poked in, and your brain's like, I have to make a livable reality from this. What are we going to fill it in with? And your brain's like, all right, let's throw our survival mechanism at it. And then let's throw what we've made up about our past experiences, like those core beliefs that exist in there that you don't even know about. Boom,
Boom.
go live your life. And so, like, I didn't realize, like a lot of the scarcity that I experienced was based off of these, survival instinct. Number one, like scarcity is a great thing to serve you in times of survival. It does not serve you very well when you're trying to build a business and operate where you need to operate from plenty, right? Like it's something that I can't escape. It's hardwired into me, but I can choose if I allow it to drive or not. And so, the other things that I've made up about my past experiences, I just was carrying a lot of victim stories, like you were saying, and realized, man, I was the one that was the driver. Like I was the one that needed to jump back into the freaking driver's seat of my own life. I had allowed it, survival instincts and whatever the crap is that I was making up about myself and my stories. I was allowing it to drive me, and I was kind of on autopilot. And so I just saw very clearly though what it was costing me. Like, yeah, I get certain things out of it. I get to be comfortable. I get to be right. I get to be in control. I get to look good, feel good. I get to stay alive, quote unquote, which is stupid because none of us get out of this alive. So why am I playing a survival game, right? Like that don't make no sense. But it was coming at direct odds at my relationship with my spouse, right? Like I had been married for 10 years at the time and had never been able to confess a porn addiction that I had to her because I was so afraid of what she would say to me. I was so afraid of how she would respond. And I would victimize myself to her, my made up response of how she would respond. And it was coming at odds with like my ability to be intimately connected to her. And like it came at odds even with like the business and the kids. Like my wife is an incredible resource that I was so scared to be able to turn to in helping me overcome some of the challenges that I was navigating, not just porn related, but other things, right? So these are that was my entry into this work. I just saw how much my subconscious was driving me. And I made a decision in that moment that I was going to take back control of my life. And so, what I do now inside of the work that we do with I Must Stand is I'm just a guy who brings a extra perspective. I listen. I hear the stories that you're telling, and I just point out this is what I see in you. This is what I hear what you're saying, but this is what it's costing you. This is what you get out of it. This is what it's costing you. And you make the choice on how you want to move forward.
Yeah.
Like it plain and simple, it's your journey. And so yeah, this work means a lot to me. I still surround myself with guys who call me out when I need it. I mean, which is a very real daily thing. We are hardwired to want to run away from tension. Like, so it makes sense. It really makes sense for the guys you're talking about. We're like, I don't feel any tension. It's like, well, you're running away from it. It's not like that. It's not available to you. But and yeah,
Yeah.
that's my jump into this, and I absolutely love it. And the last thing I'll say about it before I let you keep going, but it's important to note, like this isn't like It's not some sort of new age like thing. Like what we do is like based off of ancient wisdom from the Bible. And it's, we use neuroscience to be like those studies I was talking about. Those are just contextualizing these ancient wisdom that was already talked about in the Bible. Romans 12:2 talks about transforming our minds, be there, therefore be transformed by the renewal of your mind. So shifting these beliefs at a subconscious level that drive you day to day. We're navigating so many complexities on a day to day basis, but surely wouldn't we want to know what's actually driving us? Like, it's yielding the results you're getting. So if you want to shift the results, we got to shift the thinking.
Yeah, yeah. Shift the programming, shift the processor. Let's update to the latest iOS because something's outdated in how we're operating. And if you take an old iPad, old computer, it's not going to run the programs that are out there today. But unfortunately, a lot of us still use the same operating system that we programmed in ourselves in high school because they
Yeah.
have to survive high school.
It served us for a purpose, but now does it serve who you want to be now? If not,
Yeah.
well, here's the tension. Get ready.
I want to talk about you mentioned your transformation, then getting into co-founding I Must Stand. And as many entrepreneurs on this podcast, I've identified that typically it's the journey and the solution of their own challenges that has led to the inception of the business they create. And even studies to back the whole retreat and the immersiveness concept resulting and showing that immersive retreats lasting 2 to 4 days significantly boost resilience, mindset, and goal clarity versus single workshops that many people tend to do. Low hanging fruit, lower barrier to entry, easier commitment, but yet doesn't yield the same rewards as an immersive multi-day retreat. Speak a little bit about the inception of I Must Stand and the curriculum within the Wake Weekend as it's come together and some of the journey that you've been able to replicate that you've gone through to now facilitate for others.
Yeah, for sure. So, I understand we provide essentially three separate services of coaching, communities, and then our events. And so, the Wake Weekend is the event that you're referencing there. So, the Wake Weekend, it's a 3-day leadership challenge, and the whole point of it is, in order to lead other people, I have to know myself, right? And to your point, Ted, you know. We could throw curriculum together for a day, but the real work happens when you are the one that's processing. Like, I can't shift your mind for you. I have to present things to you and let you work with it. And so the Wake Weekend, the best way I could describe it, it's like if we could hold up a mirror and show you the things that you have a hard time seeing about yourself. And then you make the choice, does this serve me on the man I want to be moving forward? And you talk about 3 days. I mean, we have guys that we've had, close to 100 guys who've gone through the event now that they all have insane breakthroughs at different points. It's the work that's happening inside of the guy. Sometimes it literally happens like the last day. There's this crazy epiphany that they have that literally shifts the way that they relate to something, which then shifts their performance in it. Some guys they come ready to work, and there's just like I mean, really, it comes down to what's at stake for them. Like if people are really clear on what's at stake for them, they're ready to move and ready to move pretty fast. And so the entire event, like we're just doing exercise after exercise after exercise and homework and lecture styles that are all about being a mirror. Like, what do you see about yourself? What are the things that other people see in you that you can't see yourself? Introducing like the concept of the subconscious is like it's getting clearer for some people, but it's still like pretty like mind blowing to be able to explain to someone like you're not really in control the way you think you're in control. Like
Yeah.
so like helping establish that framework, doing some exercises, and then we get to ask the question, what might you be missing and how might it be affecting the results that you have? So we get to reverse engineer. It's like, the results you have are perfectly tailored to the ways of thinking that you have. You might say you don't want these things, but they're yielding the results, from your thinking. So what might be happening if this is what you're getting? What might you be thinking? Like let the results be like a little magnifying glass to point back. So man, we've had so many crazy. awesome stories come through, guys that have come through and, it literally shift things from a business perspective, from their families, guys who've gone through the event and radically changed the way that they relate to their faith and then like their goals with their fitness. So the whole point is, if I can master myself, become aware of the things that I don't know, and then allow it to, you know, change the way that I relate to those I lead in the vision I cast. So it's a really powerful, fun event. Ted's going to be with us soon.
Yeah. You mentioned what's at stake. What is at stake? And I could meditate on what's at stake for me, but maybe just a general answer, maybe something more reflective. But yeah, what is at stake, guys?
Yeah, I mean, it is individual, right? So, I mean, we gave the example earlier. It's like, we have a lot of guys who are coming in here who, like, when they finally sit down and like actually think about it, like they realize their marriage is not in a great spot. And I think you can kind of numb yourself out to a certain extent, but when you sit down and you look at like the reality that could be coming your way, like which we don't want to look at, like which is why people get punched in the mouth or kicked in the nuts, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like how did this happen?" And so, well, it was in front of you. You just didn't want to look at it. So, the reality of like your spouse building so much resentment towards you because you have not put time and effort there, that they could literally leave you, that they could turn their attention to someone else, cheat on you, and you have to walk through a pain that you didn't think you would ever have to navigate. And you're going to be sitting there being like, how could she do this to me? When it's like, well, like, what were the signs that you missed? Like, where did you take responsibility for this? Like the reality of a broken home then moves into, if you've got kids, it's like, dude, like if you don't figure out a way to reconcile with your kids, like now it's a weekend or an every other weekend situation. Is that what you want for your family? Is that the goal that you have for your family? And like just guys don't want to talk about that stuff. It's real. Like it's a very real pain point. And I'm not trying to be a fear monger or anything. I'm just trying to bring reality towards the inevitable future that is tied to our behaviors. Like there's always an end point. We just think that life can kind of sustain as it is, and I don't have to put a time and or attention into it. And it's just, you know, like how willing are we to check in on the feedback and actually measure the things that are valuable to us. So when a guy's coming in and he's fighting for his marriage, when a guy's coming in and he's fighting for who he wants to be and how he wants to interact with his kids, there's a big shift.
Yeah, there's skin in the game, and there's too much to lose in order for him not to take it seriously. Um, how does faith play into your leadership? How does that help fuel your leadership?
Yeah, man. So it is like the worldview I operate from is from a Christian worldview, and so all of this stuff that I do, like it has to have a faith contextualization. It has to be grounded in faith, and like to me, the ultimate um, like exercise of using the freedom that God has given to us is the ability for us to choose how we relate to the circumstances around us. And the Bible talks about very often, like, hey, choose joy, take joy in these circumstances. Like I have the ability to choose how I show up regardless of circumstance. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning talks about this, phenomenology, the study of becoming. Like circumstances don't do that. That to me is the furthest extent of the gift of freedom that we have in Christ. It's a God given thing. I think that's it. Like it's innate in all of us. It's part of the natural law. And so to me, it's like, well, how do I live my life in accordance when I have the choice to freely choose how I relate to these things? Then what do I choose? Who is the man I want to become? And for me, like the more that I wrestle with, what God has done for me, the more in servitude I want to be towards him. The more that this work matters at a deeper level to me. I spent a lot of time in my life like claiming Christ's freedom. I worked in churches before I did this leadership coaching stuff, and um, I was up on stage. I did a lot of music, and I would be singing and talking about Christ's freedom, all the while I was choosing to live in bondage to shame. and live in servitude to like the way that I was viewed by other people. Like I didn't want to tell my wife, I didn't want to confess the things that were going on for me because I was so afraid of how other people might think of me or the shame that I have. And so this work and the framework of what we operate is still all based off of Christ's freedom, but it's like literally using the gift. It's one thing to say, God, will you set me free from these things? It's another thing to say, hey, God's freedom is available to me. I better, pick up that gift and run with it so my family can see what true freedom looks like.
Yeah. Oh man, keep on running, brother. I love it. You said earlier in the podcast, success. You guys define success as legacy.
Mhm.
Let's go one level deeper. What is legacy?
Yeah. So legacy is the decisions I'm making today that impact how I'm remembered tomorrow. Right? Like, it's easy for us to think about legacy as this far off, distant thing, but to me, it's who I choose to be today. Like, oh, like I get to choose the legacy I want to leave behind, like today. Every day is a brand new choice. Again, talking about Christ's freedom, like this is only available in a Christian framework. You can choose to believe in Christianity or not. I'm just telling you, it's like gravity. Like this framework works off of this. Like it is what it is. Um, but, like, I get to choose, like, like, what I like, how I want to be remembered by, and for me, I think there's biblical precedent for, faith and being able to express, like, "Man, like, God has given me all of this. I want my children, I want the people around me to know that my faith matters to me. My family, I want them to see they are my greatest gift. They're the greatest asset, resource, whatever it is, the greatest thing that I could ever have in my life." So, like, I want them to remember me and my presence, not just my provision, but my presence as well. My body, like, am I using the gift that God has given me? Like, what a gift it is for us to be able to freaking like live our lives. Like, it's crazy when you take it back. Like, am I being the best steward with today's choices of the body that I have been given? Am I able to make a better impact, a longer runway with my life because of the choices I have? And then with our businesses, we faith family body business is the legacy portion, but are we living in accordance to what I believe is biblical precedent to go out, and I mean there's scripture that talks about going out and building an inheritance for your family. And the scripture, I was just reading the scripture of the parable of the talents with my kids the other day. And for the guy who was afraid of losing money, he just buried it in the sand. God says, "You wicked, lazy servant." Like there's biblical precedent to go out there and multiply the resources that God has given us. So what does that look like for me financially? What does it look like for me physically? What does it look like for me, from a faith and for my family? Those are the things I get to decide. But the pillars that I really focus in on, I build on those things.
Man, I love it. That's fantastic. And for anybody who wants to follow the blueprint, follow the framework, learn from you, check out the Awake Weekend. I know by the time folks are listening to this one, you're going to have to get access to the October one because the July one's already passed. Sorry, fellas. Y'all missed out. Y'all missed me. You can't see it.
Y'all missed him. Ted was there. Ted was there. Speak it, Ted.
Exactly, right? Into the heavens, into existence. But, for anybody who's listening and they're like, "Man, I wanna catch the next one," or I wanna connect, follow some of the work that you're doing, learn more. What are some of the best resources and then links for people to find you, man?
Yeah, so the best way that you can connect to what we're doing is you can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook at I Must Stand. Pretty simple. You can follow me personally at Travis Altman as well. You can see all the fun things that I post and see how crazy my kids are from time to time. You can also go to thewakeweekend.com. That's a great way for you to learn a little bit more about the weekend itself. We're going to be ramping up a ton of free resources as well. So we're going to be getting back into our podcasting space here pretty soon, creating a bunch of different resources from the felt needs from the guys who've come through. And, we have a bunch of other coaching programs as well. So if you want to just be connected to what we're doing, thewakeweekend.com or imuststand.com. Man, we got a lot of exciting things in the works. So pretty pumped up
Love it.
about that. You can follow us there.
I'll have the links
Oh,
in the show notes
October 10th
below.
through the 12th. October 10th through the 12th.
Oh,
That's for the next Wake weekend.
fantastic. Don't miss out on it, guys. Links are in the show notes below. Travis, last question's usually the heaviest one, which is why I save it for last. Something tells me you have no problem with it, but what is something you've seen or something that's happened to you that shaped the way you view the world as a man?
Oh, the way that I view the world as a man. Um, so I would say, this is just something I've been thinking about recently. So, in that time where I was not in tension, that I was avoiding tension, the time that I was kind of laying down and not really putting myself back into like jumping in, kicking at the difference and or the indifference until it bleeds life, as one of our mutual friends Dan Tacchini says.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so when I was laying on the ground, I lost a lot of my edge. It's probably the best way to say it. I think as men, there's a fine line between toxic masculinity, as people throw around, and then a healthy edge. And a lot of times I feel like, especially in church culture, you're taught not to have an edge. Like you're taught to be a certain way, or maybe have some reservation about you. And I'll describe, like, I lost my edge. I didn't lose. I gave my edge away a lot towards what other people thought of me. And the stronger that my conviction has gotten around what I'm doing with I Must Stand, the more willing I am to put myself out there, the more haters that come my way, the more hater I'm sure you've gotten plenty of people that are hating on what you do. It's just a bunch of miserable people who are really like, they're jealous that you have the courage to try again. The cynic is just a passionate person who's vowed to never be hurt, and you're willing to get out there and make a difference. So keep kicking ass, Ted, by the way. Um, so uh yeah, the all that to say, like, men should have a healthy edge to them. Like, there should be a little bit of danger to what it is to operate with you as a man. And like, I'm man enough to say I lost my edge for a while and I'm gaining my edge back. I'm standing on conviction. Like, I know that the work that we do is valuable. I know it makes a difference. And what's at stake for the people who are on the other side of this podcast, like, it's time to wake up. Like, do not allow yourself to walk down this path of apathy. Of like, if your give a shit level is super, I don't even know if you curse on here, Ted, or not. I'm sorry if I did. If it's not sorry if I did. Sorry if if that's if you have to bleep this out. But like, it is, if your give a shit meter is dangerously low, like, it's time to get back in the game. Like, it is time to stand back up, find something to fight for, and get dangerous again in the right way, in the right way. So that has been shaping me recently, man. I want to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, I want to make a difference.
I
Don't
love
you?
that. Find something. Oh man, absolutely. I did a post a while ago about the life on the edge is beautiful because there's so much about the edge that works. And I snowboard, and snowboarding, you find the edge to carve that turn, right? The edge is the race car going around the turn, just about to lose control, but leaning into that grip. And that's really what you just mentioned. The edge is where the tension meets acceleration. That's where the edge is. And most guys who are saying, "I don't feel the tension," is because you're not at your edge. You're not driving fast enough to lose the grip of the tires on the road just a little bit. You know what I'm talking about when you're going around the turn, you hear that little slip to let you know you're driving a little too fast, but not too fast to be out of control, but you're driving fast enough to feel that edge, feel the tensions of life that will perpetuate you and push you out the other side even faster after the apex of the turn into the life that you're trying to live. And if you are looking for help making that transition, it could happen in a matter of days. Reach out to Travis to learn more with I Must Stand. It has been an absolute pleasure. Leadership and life coach, husband, father of four, co-founder of I Must Stand, leading personal and professional transformation through multi-day events like the Wake Weekend, a 3-day immersive experience aimed at rooted integrity, focus, growth. Travis Altman, it's been a pleasure having you on, brother. Thanks for sharing.
Ted, you're the man. Thank you for having me. Thanks for me up like that. Keep reading that over and over. If you can, send me that recording. I'm gonna take that.
Absolutely. It's yours. It's yours. We can clip those, the intro and the outro, but I'm also going to recap some of the gems you left along the way because a lot of our guys are driving, working out, cleaning while listening. We appreciate you sticking to your priorities and to your goals, and success being legacy. Success being legacy, and even further, Travis detailing that as legacy being the decisions you make today that dictate how you are remembered tomorrow. Where I am and where I hope to be. Who I am and who I hope to be. The gap in between the two, that is the tension. That is the gap. And that tension can be so hard to sit in, so much so most of you guys avoid it. You don't even bother to feel it. But because you don't feel it, it's because you're still where you are. You need to feel that tension in order to move forward. Settle on a level. Have you settled on mediocrity? Have you settled where you are? You could still be a high performer, but if it's still easy for you, you're not operating at your best. Fear, scarcity, it's simply operating with not enough time, not enough money, not enough resources, all of which is a lie. And then recognizing that your attention is actually your gift. And as Travis said, that edge is usually found when you're driving fast enough and you're living fast enough to put yourself in that tension. What's guiding you on a daily basis? Because you might think you have the steering wheel in your hand, but your subconscious is steering you more than you know. Pay close attention to that. Find out who's driving, what serves you, and come to terms with what's at stake because it could be way more than you're willing to give up. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you got value from this, the best compliment you can give us is by sharing this with somebody else. Keep this train going, help it perpetuate and move forward. That's how you help us continue to bring out these amazing episodes for you each and every single week. And leave us a rating. That's, again, the only way we can improve is by you letting us know what you need, what you want to see, and what we can improve upon. We appreciate your honesty and your feedback. And as I always say at the end of the episode, everybody wants the sunshine. They don't want the rain. You can't get the pleasure without first the pain. Let's grow.